Hello, I hope you're doing well. My name is Liz, and today I wanted to talk to you all about your most important asset and your most creative part of your entire process. Here on this channel, we talk about the edge of conception. If that means actual children and pregnancy, it could also mean ideas and next generation inspiration, and your next emotional breakthrough and divinity now truly transpired into reality. When I talk about the Genesis factor, I'm speaking towards the very clear birthright that we all have as women, that we are born with innately, right? The ability to bear children, the power to bear children. And I'm not speaking to the extremes of one or the other of, well, I have some issues with my reproductive process, or I have a condition, or I was born with an anomaly. I'm not speaking towards those extremes right now. So I'm speaking towards the average, everyday woman with the ability to have children, right? And the ability to have children is very independent to the idea of wanting to actually utilize that ability to have children. I want to take a spiritual lens towards this as well, not only as a nurse midwife myself, but also as someone who values a spiritual edge to a lot of things and places that importance in my own life. The spiritual importance of you having the ability to have children is so much beyond just having children. And yes, I said just having children. That is literally the first degree. Great. Awesome. But what else does that essence, what else does that ability, what else does that Genesis factor actually do in our lives and how we utilize it every day? I think we simply chalk it up to something that is basic and very normal, and it isn't till we either do not have that ability or we lose the ability, then do we see how impactful that ability is to our identity, especially as women. Knowing those two things occur, the idea that you have that ability but you may not fully understand it, use it, conceptualize it, and it's kind of like an afterthought, to then living in the extreme of I no longer have that ability, or that ability is now lost to me, or I'm having difficulties with that ability, and now I'm like fully unsure about who I am, why I'm here, is everything that I've worked towards or processed to or went to school for and paid for this and done this and I thought I did it the right way and blah, 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 all coming ahead because now this innate thing, this very normal thing, this biological thing is seemingly lost. I want us to broaden our understanding of what this Genesis factor is, what the ability to have children is beyond. It's not just the children. As I said, that's just degree one. It is the ability to cultivate, to grow and nurture, and to actually birth a thought form, an idea, a system, a framework, an understanding, whole assets and generational legacy for not only yourself, but for your descendants. It is what is intangible to us. And so broadening our scope for this Genesis factor beyond children is the edge, is moving out of, well, what else can this ability offer me? How else can I use this ability to work for me, to benefit me now, with or without children or after children? How can I still use this asset? And how can I even use this asset beyond the biological end of the time clock, right? When menopause hits, how can I still utilize this Genesis factor beyond myself? And the first step to doing that is understanding that it is not just about children. It is bigger than actual fertility and conception, the way we biologically think about it amongst ourselves, and when you go into your physician or see your midwife for care, right? It's beyond that. But secondly, it is unique to you. Yes, we all share in this idea and share in this understanding, but it is deeply unique to you. How do you engage with this Genesis factor? Even hearing the word Genesis factor, if this is your first time or you've heard this said a multitude of different ways, how does it feel to think about it as a Genesis factor, as a beginning, something that you've always had, and yet you don't know the true depth of it, and only you can unlock the depth for yourself. There's plenty of women who continue their whole life not fully understanding the power of their ability to be that Genesis factor, to be the beginning, to be the start, to be the initiator, the self-starter, the go-getter. This is something that we cultivate in a very structured masculine framework for ourselves, and we know this and know to do this very well professionally, right? We know how to apply these same methods professionally. But what if you applied them in your actual life to something that actually benefits you directly, and or expand it beyond your professional life into your friendships, beyond your professional life into your family dynamics, beyond your professional life to your spiritual growth and how you want to see yourself in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What is your relationship with self? What is your relationship with your divinity? Whatever scope that is, if that's in the lens of a Christian, a Jewish, or an Islamic God framework of an Abrahamic religion, and or any other religions that they are, or totally outside of religion and truly your own, right? Whatever that Godhead means to you, what is the relationship you have? How have you utilized this Genesis factor, this gift given to you by the divine to actually make meaning of your life? This is not to say your life is not already meaningful. It is. But you probably already have been using this factor, and you simply have not had the language or maybe stretched the idea out to recognize for yourself that actually I've been doing this all along. That new idea that I came up with, that new relationship that I cultivated, that new structure that I implemented with the team, yeah, that's all Genesis factor. After you understand this knowing, this knowledge, and this breath, and you are able to say it by name, call it out, you're then able to say and look back and ground yourself with the idea that I've done this before. I know what this is now. You can continue calling it the Genesis factor or whatever name that you come up for yourself. And then moving forward, seeing it as where are the opportunities? Where are the fireworks of access? How am I becoming available to the divine to allow my Genesis factor to be highlighted and used with ease, right? Something that comes naturally with the Genesis factor is ease. It's not difficult. Maintenance and the nurturing aspect of it, right? Just as pregnancy, it will have its own discomforts. But overall, it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be difficult, right? There is a natural ease. Even if you are doubting your instincts, doubting what you objectively know to be true, and it's calling you to allow a more ungrounded, not knowing, non-physical relationship of your intuition or that gut feeling that you have to be the actual deciding factor to your every next step, there is a sense of ease throughout. may still be difficult, may still have its challenges, will definitely have its challenges. You probably will have more challenges. Now that you are super available with this new awareness, you will definitely have more challenges. Challenges that you'll probably be making up half the time, right? But with this new knowing of this inner Genesis factor, the opportunities will be endless. You'll see every moment, every waking day in like a sharp succession of opportunities. You're like, I could do this thing, I can do this, I can do this, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And it's like going to feel like it's bombarding your entire world. The beauty with the Genesis factor is, remember, point 2, it is uniquely yours. Same way that you can turn down your mental chatter is the same way that you can turn down your Genesis factor. And you probably have been turning it down unconsciously for a really long time. There's probably ideas, there's probably things, there's probably experiences that you want to do, and you're just like, nope, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logical sense. It doesn't make practical sense. It just doesn't fit, blah, 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 da, 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 right? And you cut it off. You shut it down. But now with this new inner awareness, you're able to say, are those moments opportunities that I've unconsciously shut down? What would happen if I choose to reopen those opportunities? What could happen if the opportunities that I'm being given now, they just don't fit for me? They just don't work. But I know that it is an opportunity, a potential opportunity, right? A knowing of yourself, a deeper knowing of yourself beyond what you are is the Genesis factor. And that's what we're going to continue to break down with all the other videos in different aspects. The biggest thing that you can do right now with the Genesis factor, and this is probably the best first step, and I'm going to give you actually 2 really good first steps. One is to acknowledge where you're leaking your Genesis factor. Where are you leaking your largest, most creative, powerful asset every single day? This can be done by getting a journal and writing out 2 separate types of tasks. On one side of the paper, you'll title it major and minor on the other side. And you'll just list out all these different tasks in major and minor. Minor tasks are maybe administrative tasks, or even minimal, like quick tasks, small things like putting away the dishes, going to get gas, or things that you do at your job. All across your life, just minor tasks. And big tasks are probably things you have to plan for, sit down, strategically plan, get a team involved, do all the things, right? Cool. And next to each task, you're going to write either high or low. High meaning the yield, the results, the payback, right? You put an investment of the task. What is the reward back? Is it high yield or low yield? Does it move your forward needle? Does it allow you more opportunities to utilize your Genesis factor? Or does it only allow for one or none? Low yield. And next to each task, you will place high or low, high or low. You'll probably notice either an even distribution across the board, like there's probably no rhyme or reason, but you'll probably notice especially that you are maybe dictating for yourself which one is high and low based off of an emotional reaction that you have. Maybe something as menial to most people, like doing laundry, like that's one of my, don't ask me to do laundry personally, like I hate that stuff. That will always be a low yield task to me because my attitude towards laundry is not the greatest. So those things that you have made low yield because of your emotional attitude towards it, ask yourself, how can I change this into a high yield task? This may be outsourcing it or removing it altogether. If you still can't remove it altogether, then couple it with a major task, right? It's not just some weird one-off, I gotta do laundry. No, I couple it with my every 2 weeks, every like check-in, cleanup of my space, of my area, and this is just a part of my major task. And those have high yields for me. So I don't think of it as a minor task. I just group it all together in a major task because I can't get rid of laundry. I'm not at that stage that I have just excessive clothes and things to just wear it one time or 2 times and then call it quits. I have to wash my clothes. Also, as I said, outsourcing it. What are something that you can outsource, especially the low yield tasks that you're like, this is not an opportunity for my Genesis factor, is actually depleting me because every time I think about it, it's irritating me. And that's why being able to visually see for yourself, like, how am I using this innate gift that I'm given properly? And how are these tasks creating either big access points for bigger and better opportunities, or minor roadblocks that are just making me stumble each time, and I'm not able to change my perspective to look at different and new opportunities because I'm so worried about the small roadblock at every small jump. You'll also notice that maybe you don't have you have a lot of time. This exercise may awaken to you that you have a lot of time on your hands, and you have filled it up with like these random tasks, these things that you thought you had to do because someone somewhere told you so. It just looks good on paper that you should do these things, knowing good and well you don't want to do it, 1, and 2, you don't need to do it. And thirdly, now it's a low yield task. So for those things that don't have that emotional pull towards you, you feel neutral about it, but overall you're like, why do I even do that? Imagine for the following couple days, if you don't do it, what would happen? If you don't do it, what will happen? Knowing those answers for yourself and actually almost like playing on the edges of, if I do this in my routine this way for a couple days, and then I check in on how I feel, what the experiences I'm having, what opportunities or access points are now available to me, and if I go back to my original routine or ritual, what does the actual facts say? Asking yourself and allowing yourself to be the greatest experiment of like, I'm going to try this out, I'm going to try that out, I'm going to change this, I'm going to move it around, and being light on your feet, having an air of, it is what it is, like, who cares, right? Because you've always been the it girl, you've always had that Genesis factor. You are just figuring out, where are my access points and where are my little speed bump roadblocks? What are things that are not really helpful? Going through this process and checking things off and changing things around, or just being able to create a singular list and seeing it for yourself about like, wow, I have a lot of low yield stuff, or even better for yourself, wow, I have a lot of high yield stuff. Why am I not taking these opportunities? Why have I not enveloped change in my life? The Genesis factor. Number 2 will help ground you. And number 2 is rekindling your period story. Rekindling your period story. And when I mean period story, I mean your actual menstrual cycle story for yourself. Yes. Yes. When we're on our periods, or if you don't experience a period anymore, when you were on your period, let's say that, we are in our closest brush with the physical aspects of the Genesis factor. Every single time. Every single time we are bleeding and just sitting there in whatever happy daisies and roses, or terror, my stomach is literally trying to rip itself out and I'm about to rip it out myself. Whatever spectrum you are in between, right? We are brushing with our Genesis factor. Brushing with it every single time. And I want you to, as I said, expand beyond to the edges of where it hits. Where does the physical world reach out to become divinity for you? And say to yourself, by writing out a period story, writing out your first time experiencing your period. What were the sights? What were the sounds? Where were you? Who was around? Who did you tell? Who did you not tell? What was given to you? Were you given a tampon, a pad? Were you given nothing? Were you just struggling? Was it embarrassing? Were you in front of all your classmates? Were you at home alone? Was it in the middle of the night? Did it just come on in such a weird way that everyone else, you listen to everyone else's first period story, you're like, mine doesn't actually sound like that. And continue adding to the story to include ways in which you thought of your period, taking in and being clear of like, wow, I thought about my period as this just regular monthly thing that always happened, and everyone thought it was so normal around me, and womp womp, who cares, like, you're a woman now. Yeah, I'm like 11, but also more so, I didn't like it. I didn't want it. It was painful. I didn't know what I was doing. It felt weird. And just write out with authenticity your period story. It could take you a couple days, as I said. So maybe you want to go memory by memory. It doesn't need to be every single period, because you probably have forgotten most of them because they're so, right? It's so irrelevant. It is what it is. Like, it's just like, right? And maybe you only bring up the ones that have a very attached story to it, an attached memory to it, a core memory maybe, right? And you're able to write out for yourself what the memory was, who, what, when, where, and how the memory went, and more so, how the memory, now that you're reading it back at your big age, how is it making you feel now? And to be clear, the Genesis factor, as I've already said, is beyond the physical, bodily, biological function that we have. But this brush every so many weeks that we have with our menstrual cycle is almost like a beacon reminder for not only myself, but also like for many, many women, that there's something unique, there's something different, there's something very spiritual and something very dark and scary and very like chaotic always happening. The Genesis factor is not just pure white life, love, and peace, people. No. There is going to be chaos. There is going to be darkness. There is going to be this something more, something pulling at you. And as we go through this series, we will continue to allow ourselves to expand upon this. So start with the period story. Start off with the basics, like, what is this thing? What is this thing that happened every month that I kind of just felt indifferent to, or I absolutely hated, or I loved it? What is it? And be very authentic to yourself. If you are interested in working with me, you can click the link down below, because that is where I have the edge. The edge is an experience, a 3-part experience that goes through the villain, the architecture, and the activation to give you not only more tools and more skill sets and blah, 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 but a deeper, very pointed, even more so a darker, richer tone to your own journey of self-actualization. And understanding that the Genesis factor is simply step 1 of you becoming and knowing and fully standing at the edge of the universe to say that you are the next frontier, and you will always have the next frontier next to you. I'm so appreciative that you listened to this. Please subscribe and share with any of your fellow women, and I'll see you later. Bye.